There is a product on your phone right now that Apple has been embarrassed by for over a decade. One in every three requests fails. Internally, that's not a glitch, that's a crisis. And Apple's solution? Quietly hand the keys to the biggest rival, the company that they have been fighting in the courtroom for years, and pay them billions of dollars per year to fix what they couldn't. This is a story of how Siri died and what replaced her. June 2024, Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference. Tim Cook walks on the stage and promised the world a brand new Siri, smarter, more personal, and more capable than anything they have ever shipped. The crowd goes wild, and then nothing really happened. Months after month, the update got delayed, then delayed again. Apple quietly released a statement. It's going to take us longer than we thought. But here's what they didn't say publicly and what internal reports later revealed. Siri's failure rate during internal testing had hit 33%. One in every three requests failing. And the reason ran deeper than bad engineering. Apple built its entire reputation on privacy, on-demand processing. No data collection, no feeding user behavior into giant training sets. The philosophy is admirable, but it came at a cost. To train a world-class AI model, you need data. Oceans of it. Apple's privacy-first approach left them with a data gap that their competitors like Google, OpenAI and Anthropic simply didn't have. By the time Apple realized this gap, the gap was too wide to quickly close. They had two options: ship something broken or ask for the help. Apple didn't just call one company, they called three: Anthropic's Claude, OpenAI's ChatGPT, and Google's Gemini. First, Anthropic. Apple actually runs a custom version of Claude on its own servers. Negotiation for Claudes to power the new Siri went deep, but Anthropic won several $billions. Apple said no. Second, OpenAI. Apple already had a working relationship with OpenAI's ChatGPT in current integration into Siri for complex queries. But here's the twist. OpenAI reportedly passed on becoming Siri's core AI provider. They didn't want to be the invisible engine inside someone else's product. Sam Altman has his own hardware ambition, an AI device built with John Ivey, Apple's former chief designer, and being locked inside Siri's infrastructure weren't part of that plan. Third, Google. And guess what? Google said yes. On January 12, 2026, Apple and Google released a joint statement that a deal was done. Here's what was agreed. Apple and Google entered a multi-year partnership. Google's Gemini model is specifically a custom 1.2 trillion parameter version built just for Apple, would become the backbone of Apple's next generation AI features. Starting with completely rebuilding Siri, launched with iOS 26.4 this March. Apple's statement was characteristically precise. After careful evaluation, we determined that Google technology provides the most capable foundation for Apple foundational model. But there are two things about this deal that were genuinely surprising. Surprise 1. You won't see Google's name anywhere. The deal is white labeled. No Google branding, no Gemini logo. When you talk to the new Siri, you will see just Siri. Apple's name, Apple's interface, but Google's brain, invisible underneath. Surprise 2. Apple claims your data stays in Apple. Gemini won't run on Google servers. Apple is running it on its own private cloud infrastructure, essentially renting Google's intelligence but keeping it locked inside Apple's house under Apple's rule. Your queries go directly to Gemini model that Google technically can't see. Whether that holds up to the practice is a completely different question, and we will get back to it. For Google, this is a staggering win. Think about this, like Google already pays Apple around 20 billion a year to be the default search engine on iPhone. The money buys them access to over their 2 billion active Apple users. Now, they are also in the AI brain inside those devices. The day the deal was announced, Alphabet's market cap crossed 4 trillion for the first time. making Google only the fourth company in history to hit the milestone, joining Nvidia, Microsoft, and Apple itself. In 2025, many had written Google off in the AI race. They are fumbling hard. OpenAI had a momentum. The narrative was Google's losing. But this deal flipped the entire narrative completely. For OpenAI, this is quite devastating. OpenAI currently has over 800 million weekly users. A lot of that growth came from being embedded in Apple devices through a ChatGPT Siri integration. ChatGPT isn't gone from Apple devices. It stays for an opt-in queries, but it's been removed from the starting lineup of the bench. Google is now the default, and in tech, default is everything. Sam Altman sees Apple as an OpenAI's primary long-term rival. He's been building an AI-native device with John Ivey to challenge the iPhone itself. But here's the uncomfortable truth. As long as Apple has dependent on ChatGPT, OpenAI has a window into what the future competition was building. But the window just closed. Here's what the headline missed. Apple is known for one thing above almost everything else: vertical integration. The iPhone, the chips, the software, the stores, Apple controls it all. The products, that's the moat. But this deal breaks that model. For the first time, the most important feature on the most important Apple product is being powered by another company that Apple has sued, competed against, and fought in court for years. And the privacy question is real. Why? Because Apple says Gemini run in their private cloud. But Google is building a custom model for Apple, which means Google has deep knowledge of what Apple users are asking for, what features matter, and where Apple intelligence is falling short. Even without seeing the data, the knowledge has value. Tim Cook himself, on Apple's Q1 earnings call, refused to discuss the financial terms. When asked if this compromises Apple's privacy reputation, his answer was careful. We will continue to run on the devices and in private cloud computers and maintain our industrial leading privacy standards. Notice what he didn't say? Here's the honest scorecard. Apple's admitted without admitting that it's fell behind in AI. Siri was broken, the self-resilient model wasn't working, and rather than stripping something embarrassing or broken, they made a pragmatic and practical call. Google won the biggest distribution deal in AI history, 2 billion devices, white labeled, invisible, but still everywhere. OpenAI lost its most valuable backdoor into Apple's ecosystem, and Anthropic got priced out of a deal that could have been theirs. And you, the person with an iPhone in your pocket, are about to talk to Siri for the first time and actually get a useful answer. The new Siri launched with iOS 26.4 late March or early April 2026. That's the full story. Apple, Google, Siri, and the deal that quietly reshuffled the entire AI industry. Are you excited for the new Siri, or do you not trust Google inside your phone? Drop in your comments. Like and subscribe this video if this breakdown was useful. See you tomorrow.